Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wild Earth Safari this morning here at Chuma Game Reserve. My name is Mark and Seb is with me on camera. Hi everyone, great to be back and thanks for all the welcoming on different social medias and emails. It's great to come back actually. It's great to go away and then come back and have all of this missed you and welcome back. Makes me feel very special. And of course you're all the special people out there, and we've got a beautiful sunrise coming up this morning. It's not as cold as yesterday morning. Hopefully everything's going to run smoothly for us, and we're going to head out and see what there is to see. But also I want to see what's been different, what's been happening over the last 2 weeks, what has changed. I noticed just driving in there are a few different color changes, and well, we'll see what we can find for you this morning. I'm hoping maybe we can do a repeat of yesterday with that elephant, but he did go north. Boy, what an elephant. Now last night there were some noises around Gowrie Dam. The Egyptian geese and guinea fowl were going crazy, and I'm assuming it was a leopard. So we're pointing down towards the dam, and I think just before we get there we'll see the sun rise, and I'm going to go find a nice spot to open, or rather to see that sunrise, and then we're going to listen a little bit. Guinea fowl are still complaining a little bit. So let's go down to the dam and have a look and see the sunrise. Morning mobile station, Luton update. Turn the sound up to 6. Morning, Henry. Henry. Morning test, we'll check the exit and head south from Steady Patch. Morning, gentlemen. I'm going to go down to the dam. I'm going to start off down at Gowrie Dam. See what tracks there are in the sand. Nice patch of sand here. No, nothing yet. Remember those beautiful trees, the 4 trees which we always thought were 3, but there were 4 because there was one dead one. These 4 here, we always had that lovely view with sunset at certain times of the year, looking back from the dam camera. I mean the camera at the dam. And well, there's only 2 now, well 3 actually. There used to be 4. The 4th one blew down. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the storm damage from that dreaded storm that we had just before I went on leave. Those trees have a history with a lot of viewers who have seen many things underneath them or in them over the years with the camera. It's sad to lose big trees, although like some of the big animals that we get to know and who pass away. It's the same kind of thing, really. Everything has to live and die at some point, or rather die. Everything has a lifespan. I should go forward just a little bit, just to get the gap between the trees, I said.
Yeah.
Not as cold as it was yesterday morning. Actually, you're not going to see much of the sun here because we've got trees in the background. I was going to scan around the dam with my binoculars while we're waiting for that golden orb to pop up above the horizon. Andrew, what do you have at Sandy Patch? Okay, put me on standby, please. See if anyone's got a sense of humour this time of the day. There is the sun. Now these trees originally would have grown from the same batch of seed, and that is why they seem to grow where the crown almost creates one crown instead of each tree having its own spreading crown. So the tree that fell down would have completed the sort of left-hand crown of this giant canopy that would have been the result of the 4 trees each contributing to one crown. Yeah, the geese are making a noise, so I might right up in a tree above us. Let's see why they're so upset. Here comes some of the buffalo now. And I don't think the geese are complaining about the buffalo. Noisy child. Looking out across the other side of the dam somewhere. Of course, it might just be another goose in the area. Tara is telling me it looks like there might have been a takeover of the geese here at the dam. need to be level. Let's move to try and get a little bit more level.
Maybe just a little bit more forward. More if you can.
No, let me just here, it's going to be easier. Beautiful morning lights, the sun just catching the lodge. Nothing really level here, it's about as best as I can get it. Morning buffalo, come along then. Bulls will always find time to bash heads. It's part of an ongoing hierarchical struggle in some ways. This isn't by any means a fight, this is just a light sparring. But even in light sparring, you get a dominant bull and a more submissive bull, and they learn where they stand within the hierarchy of the bulls within the herd. And hopefully all of this training and all of the sparring as they grow up and as they move around, hopefully that all means that when it does come time to get a little bit aggressive with each other, the fights don't get too intense, because a bull knows his place, and normally a bull will know when he's outmatched or taking on more than he can chew or butt. When you see buffalo really fighting, it is a frightening thing to watch sometimes, because unlike the yaks who run at each other and headbutt each other, it's not as bad as that, but the knocking of those bosses, that very heavy bit of horn above the forehead, sometimes can sound like a rifle crack, and one can only wonder how nature has designed the skull and the boss to prevent brain injury with such heavy strikes. And there's a big animal, and those neck and shoulders, pretty strong muscles to swing at head or to hit each other in the head with those heavy horns. But I guess honeycombing in the skull, and I suppose the boss itself acts as a shock absorber. Currently about 50 buffalo here, and there's still some more coming down. And what's making it even prettier is the sun rising and just giving this little morning glow. That's the room, the first room of Vuyatela in the background. Very old cow here on the right. With a very wide, in fact there are two cows here with very, very wide spreads to their horns. At first glance, animals like buffalo, in fact every animal, most animal species, looks like a uniform, or should I say, they all look the same, but it's when you start looking closer at some of the subtle differences in all of them. This female, something happened to her horn at some point. But these are the two cows I was talking about. Both of them must be very old, well, fairly old cows. This old girl, I'm guessing because she's so old, she probably even had horn borer in her horn while she was alive. She's also looking quite pregnant. And by rubbing on trees the way they do, managed to kill the larva and smooth off all the little grooves that the larva of the horn borer moth produce. And that's probably why she's missing so much of her horn at the back there behind the boss. Tongue looks a little bit pale. I think she was trying to work up some mucus there. That youngster jumping around, thrashing at the bushes. Please do it again, little one. There we go. The joys of life. No. Bless you.
Thank you.
No. sorts of little scenes going on in every little subgroup within the buffalo herd. A couple of bulls sparring, a youngster horning the mud here, horning the mud there. There's one of those moments where you don't know where to look. Hello, Mrs. Buffalo. Come and say hello to me. We have seen this herd before, because there's the dapple. We saw them at Treehouse Dam just before the storm and before I went on leave, because just off to my right here is that dappled cow, that female that has the white spots. So this would be part of a much bigger herd, unless it is a very big herd, but I recognize her. I thought I recognized that cow that had the really weird, this one that had the weird boss. But this cow coming towards us now with the grass in her mouth. That dappled, spotted, looks like she's been flicked with paint. Now this would also be the herd that Tara saw, a female who had a stick in her boss or her horns. Youngster chasing a blacksmith lapwing. Various pairs of bulls sparring. So much going on. Morning, young man. Looking very healthy. Look at that. This has nothing to do with mating or... because these are two bulls and there's nothing sexual about it. This is dominance. This is sheer dominance. He's trying to push him down. This is not a common sight. Trying to get him down on the ground. They will vie for, they will spar, they will, when there are females in estrus, they will fight over rights to mating with her. Make sure that the biggest and strongest are the ones that are passing on the genes. A good question, Dawn, actually. At what age do the horns come down and spread out? If you find one of these youngsters, probably from about, say, from about 3 or 4. I mentioned a while ago that I have these tables of kudu, impala, buffalo, and the different stages that the horns go through at different ages. Because there is a a rate of growth, special rate of growth, and there is a specific shape to the horns at each age. And while the shape of the horns and the size of the horns are genetic, the actual rate of growth is the same throughout the population. Let's try and find that for you one of these days. Oh, you're going to fall, run around like that, buffalo. Full of energy. They've probably been curled up sleeping for most of the night. Well, not sleeping, but resting, chewing the cud. Tucked their legs under them, found a place that they can all pack in together. Body warmth helps when they lie together in the cold nights. Oops. Oh, that looks like a hurt. And today warming up, the oxpeckers are coming in. Called driving the point home. You can see how the ears get torn up when you try and look closely at where those horns go even when they're sparring. Those horns, the way they're curled, they can pinch those ears against the horn, against underneath of the boss. Getting a bit too excited there, young man. Okay, I think I'd love to follow them for a while, but I do know that if there were tracks crossing over from Little Gowrie, we're probably losing out on finding something else. Sometimes you've got to be on them immediately. But the herd's moving away from the water. They're going to head off grazing for the day. Hello Vivian, nice to hear from you. Morning to you. Vivian asking a question about that dappled cow, and could it possibly be that she has a gene for albinism? I don't think so, Vivian. I think if anything, maybe a gene for leucism. Leucism is not quite as severe as albinism. I've heard us talk about melanism, where animals like a black panther or a black leopard or a black goshawk, or what other things do we find melanism in? Well, various different things where the black pigment or the melanin is the dominant, is a gene for a gene for the coloration of animals. A leucistic, or rather a melanistic leopard would appear all black because the dark pigment in the spots of the leopard becomes the dominant color of the whole animal. Lovely fun going on here with all these buffalo. Now the opposite of melanism is leucism, where instead of the dark color being the dominant color of the animal, it's the lighter colors or lack of pigment. Although albinism is more sort of total lack of pigment, and leucism is more dominance of the lighter colors of the animal. And that's why we get things like white lions. They're not albino. I've known of a white giraffe, which is not an albino. you get certain bird species that become leucistic. And it is possible, I guess, that she has a recessive gene for leucism and it's manifesting itself as spots. But I don't think you can get partial albinism. I think albinism is whole and complete. It is the bottom of the far end of one end of the genetic scale when it comes to pigmentation. That's because I've moved here already. Roadblock. Yeah, she is. Speak of her. There's the female with the spots on her face. And some spots on her body. Maybe it's not the same one. Maybe, if I remember correctly, the other one had more spots on her body. So it might be, I've possibly never really noticed it that much amongst buffalo. Actually be nice if we can get to the bottom here, Seb, and we look up at them with this light as they're coming through. Almost level. Just nice to sort of. There you go. Morning, everyone. Why don't they run? I wonder. You need to go up onto the dam wall. There were some coming to the dam wall or down to the dam on the other side of the slipway. I mean the spillway. Slipway. Spillway. They all.
North of Chitwa Open area, just west of the building, where the power line extends there.
Something is upsetting them a little bit. I think they possibly were just running because they heard other buffalo sparring and jumping around. Let's go towards Treehouse and Little Gowrie Junction. See what was crossing there. Mike was asking about Duggar Boys. Why are they called Duggar Boys? And when did they become a Duggar, and how many Duggars? Well, Duggar is a term for mud or mortar. Well, I suppose you could say local dialect, but it's more a kind of a pigeon language. What would you call it? There's so many African languages that in some places, like in East Africa, a language like Swahili has been developed that everybody can speak because there's so many different tribal groups and so many dialects and languages. It's easier for everyone to speak one language. And of course, before Europeans came along, and English and German and French and Italian, all the colonial languages, tribal groups had their own languages. And of course, with an integration of all the different people from all over the world, it was necessary to create a language that everybody could speak and understand. And in this country we have a language similar to Swahili, but maybe not as widely used. Here's a waterbuck and his female. No, she's looking at something. Anyways, Duggar is a term that has been coined to refer to mud, and even on a building site you will have the cement, the mix that is used to build a building, the brick, the mortar of a building site is referred to as Duggar. And even on a building site you get the old guys that mix the cement are referred to as the Duggar Boys, in the same way as the old bull buffaloes, when they become a little senile and they leave the big herd to retire, I guess you could say. They find themselves a patch of ground where there's good grazing, there's mud to wallow in all day. And it's that fact that they wallow all day that makes them Duggar Boys. Duggar meaning the mud that they wallow in. I think there's something up here near Inga's house. There, Franklin's chirping. And these waterbuck are quite alert. Buffalo are now making their way through onto Twin Dams Road ahead of us. They're moving about as fast as we are. Or faster, in fact. They're ahead of us. I have to take a look, see what's going on. All stations in Yati are now heading south from Gowrie Dam. They're coming out on Twin Dams Road, heading south. I'll be leaving the lock open. This is nice actually from this angle with this waterbuck in this light. Just have a look quickly. Morning, old man. See, when animals stand like this and their ears don't move much, they're listening for something in particular. Especially that cow. Her ears are forward. She's trying to concentrate on some sound, and as long as it's not identified yet, she's going to be in that posture. He doesn't seem too concerned. But there were Franklin just west of us, straight ahead of us, deep in this bush. There were Franklins making a noise. I'm thinking before these buffalo get up to that area, I want to go and see, look for tracks. But once they get there, they're going to obliterate it. Any sign of other animals. A strange track there. I didn't bring my book. See that? That could be the goose.
Yeah?
Could be the Egyptian goose.
It's like 50 goats.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that is. Me again. Paula. Morning to you, Paula. I'm asking if the buffalo are prey to the big cats. Only lion, Paula. I guess there's a remote chance that a big leopard will take a buffalo calf if it's abandoned or if it's lagging behind. But not likely. Lion are only ones big enough to take down a buffalo. I've seen this cow before. She's got her right horn is almost growing back into her neck at a very weird angle. Her right horn. Turn around this way, please. No. I've seen her before too. Aha! The drongos were going crazy and stampeded this group of buffalo. We're just going to have a look in there and see what that's all about. It might not be anything, but suddenly there were some drongos going crazy, and that kind of alarming was enough to set these buffalo off. Still alarming, these drongos. Two, three, four of them. Five of them. Unless they're just teasing the buffalo. And let's see, there might be something here. The thing, Paula, it's not very easy for cats to get to buffalo, especially when they're in a big herd like this, because the buffalo are very protective over each other, over their own, within the herd. And very often they will turn around and they will stampede and chase their aggressors, even if it's a pride of lion. And I've often seen a sort of tug-of-war almost. where the lion will stampede a herd of buffalo trying to get one of them, and the buffalo will turn around and intimidate the lion, chase the lion off somewhat. And this whole thing can... This whole... Hello, John. John's asking a question. John in Brooklyn Heights. I like Brooklyn Heights. I stayed in Brooklyn Heights. Sorry, I'm just still talking about these buffalo. Before I get to John, I'm just thinking, if there's a predator here like a leopard, it's going to keep a very low profile, because if it gets detected by these buffalo, it can be disastrous. I'm not seeing anything. Whatever those drongos were shouting about, I don't see it. It's possible they were just teasing the buffalo. Two drongos sitting in a tree. One says, "Let's get them to stampede." Shout and scream, buffalo run off. But buffalo, if they get hold of a predator, they'll kill it. They will collectively maul it. Right, John, Brooklyn Heights, was saying websites refer to these buffalo as Cape buffalo. I've never said they're not Cape buffalo. I know there's semantics. There has been mention that they are not. And I don't know what developments have taken place nowadays in genetically separating subspecies and declaring them different species, or different varieties becoming different species. And as far as buffalo are concerned, African buffalo, they were called Cape buffalo because the first settlers in the Cape discovered them there. But as far as I know, and I'm open to correction on this, it's the same buffalo you find all the way up through East Africa. The only other buffalo, you get other forest buffalo, which are quite distinctly different. They're much smaller, their horn configuration is different. Baby hyena have been running around here. Well, not baby, but youngsters. Two youngsters with the adults. It's not incorrect to say Cape buffalo. I think they prefer not to call them Cape buffalo anymore, because they've found right throughout sub-Saharan Africa, except of course for the forest buffalo. And more aptly referred to as African buffalo. They're not water buffalo, although they spend time in water. Water buffalo are more the Asian buffalo. Bless you. Just thinking about Brooklyn Heights, and when I learnt I was going there, the one thing I wanted to do was stand on that promenade, look out over the river, the East River. Isn't it the East River? Look out over the river onto Manhattan. When you stand there, you can sort of encompass most of Manhattan, or a large portion of Manhattan, in one view. And just to think of the world that it entails, the lives of people, so many thousands of people that are in that one little group of, that one little view, that one little patch of earth. And how many times in my life I've been able to stand on a river, or even at home on my deck, and encompass the same amount of space and be the only human being. Rhino tracks. Okay, we'll follow up on that. That's heading east. That's fresh. That could be what was coming from Little Gowrie. These are rhino tracks here on Philemon's Cut Line. 2 rhino by the looks of things, at least 2 rhino. And they're heading east. We'll follow up on them. I want to go towards that Little Gowrie sign on Gowrie Main, just to make sure and have a look what animal it was the guys were talking about. Ooh. Get a little chilly as the sun's warming things up. Different theories as to why it gets colder once the sun comes up. Be interesting to hear anybody else's. Craig was looking at that and said that there's a layer of very cold air just at ground level, and when the sun comes up, it warms up that cold air, and that cold air gets pushed higher. Oh, there was a drongo sitting here and it's gone. No drongos. Choo choo. We got Dan. New Zealand. I think it's Dan. Wanting to know if the buffalo still carry bovine TB, or has that been eradicated? Dan, I don't think that'll be eradicated anytime soon. Bovine TB is prevalent in almost the entire population of buffalo in Kruger. And they were thinking of ways to eradicate it. The plan was once to actually cull, to create an artificial line, well, not artificial, but an imaginary line in Kruger, east to west, and cull every buffalo, I think, south of that line, and then slowly move the line north, culling every buffalo herd that they came across. And then, but I don't know, that was scrapped, I think. I don't know how they'll do it, but it can't be eradicated. Came in with European cattle, I believe, long time ago. Spum Road, heading south towards Gowrie Main. This is where the rhino came from. So it could have been the rhino that they were talking about. And this is rhino tracks, the same rhino tracks we had on Philemon's Cut Line, heading east. So this two sets of tracks that we have coming north on Sprum Road from Little Gowrie. I had a lot of rhino tracks at home. Not often that we get that in that part of the Timbavati, Kumbabat. There's one dam on the northern end of the property that I spend a lot of time at, and there's a hippo trail and an elephant pathway that the rhino use, but it traverses east to west. But where my house is, there's never really been rhino up that way much. But this time, 3 times, and I missed the rhino. Didn't get to see them, but found their tracks. And there was one set of tracks that, well, I didn't know any better. I would have thought it was black rhino. I actually took photographs of it because I want to compare them. But I'm not very familiar with black rhino. In all the places that I've lived, even in other parts of Africa, I haven't had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with black rhino or hook-lipped rhinoceros. I've had a lot of experience with white rhino. The Hamakop fishing, frogging. We'll see when we come back. Let's see what tracks we can find here besides the rhino. Buffalo. Let me have a look. A big daddy leopard, big male came across. I wonder if it's Mafufunyan. I know wasn't Shannon saying she saw Mafufunyan and Yambilu Yordan having a bit of an argument?
while ago.
Oh, was it a while ago?
Mvula's been around.
Mvula's beer. I don't think this would be a Mvula this far west. This is a big leopard that came across here. The size of his tracks are almost the size of a lioness's tracks. And it wasn't on Spum Road, so my guess is Treehouse Dam. There's another Hamakop. Tegwan. Tegwan. So, that's what they were talking about. See, I thought, in fact, come to think of it, those rhino didn't cross. They must have crossed elsewhere, but they didn't cross here. Because there are no rhino tracks here, so they must have come across elsewhere and come onto Spum Road. Leopard crossed during the night. He could be anywhere. We're going to try and find him nonetheless. Or follow his, try and find his tracks. Hello, Hamakop. How's the frogging today? The water in these little pans is starting to dry up. In fact, it's quite surprising. Some of these pans still have, in fact, smaller pans even, still have water in from such late rains in April. The recent little bit of rain wouldn't have made any difference. But that really heavy storm that we had that blew everything out, that was May rather than April actually. There was so much water that came down in such a short period of time in that storm. And there was hail too. It would have filled up a little pan like this. So this water is going to stay well into the dry season, is as small as this little pan is. But as it shrinks, of course, the concentration of, or rather the different creatures in there, the life that becomes more and more concentrated, and becomes a lot easier for things like Haamakops and storks to catch frogs, tadpoles, aquatic insects. I'm hoping we're going to find some of this leopard, or this leopard has gone down this road, because I didn't see his tracks on Spum Road. Deb, is there different types of behavior amongst the different types of zebra? Well, yes, very much so. To some degree. The composition of herds and the way that they do things are pretty much the same. I haven't spent time with any other zebra other than, well, briefly up in northern Kenya, northeastern Kenya. I spent time with not much. The few times that I managed to see them, the Grevy's zebra, probably the rarest of the zebra species. I haven't seen Cape Mountain zebra, never seen them, and I've never seen what other zebra? There's Grevy's, Birchall's. Well, I've seen the different zebra that I've seen most of all have been the same type of plain zebra, and they're just different subspecies. This southern race that has the shadow stripe, and then the East African race that has no shadow stripe on the rump, they're pretty much the same. Hartmann zebra, I think, is the other one. But I don't know much about their behavior. This leopard didn't come this way, by the way. By the looks of things, it didn't. I don't know where he went. He might have cut through to Zoe's Road. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that, Tara. What about small mammals? Laurie in California. Hello. Just to know a little bit about the smaller mammals. In North America you have beavers, skunks, and I suppose all those raccoons, those smaller mammals. We have a number of smaller mammals, but funnily enough, a lot of our smaller mammals are nocturnal. We have genets and civets. We have otters, although we're not going to find an otter. I remember one night at Gowrie Dam about 3 summers ago, there was a Cape clawless otter at Gowrie Dam. Very clearly you could see on the infrared camera the way it was moving through the water around the edge of the dam, and it must have come up the Mulwati from other dams, and I suppose originally from places like the Sand River. Other than that, there's small mammals, that sort of sized mammal that we're talking about, of beavers and raccoons and skunks. In terms of diurnal mammals in this part of the world, well, I suppose we have the primates, the baboons and the burbot monkeys. But other than that, we don't really have anything. We get the very small rodents and things, but that medium size, we don't really have much in the way, other than some of the cat species, but they too are mostly nocturnal, except for, say, the serval, and the caracal, which should be a diurnal hunter. Here we go. Leopard track that came from that side coming across the dam wall now. Over there.
It is a big one.
Yeah. We're going to go carry on down that way. Might have come around the dam wall. It doesn't mean that when you see animal tracks going one direction, it doesn't mean that animal walked in a straight line. Quite possible that I think this dam wall should be closed again one of these days. It's getting very narrow. One interesting thing I can tell you about, just a random thought. The floating vegetation, this Ludwigia, this plant that we have had during the summer months that seems to have been encroaching on the dams quite intensely. It's interesting to note that it is still quite prominent here, Treehouse Dam, and it has almost all but died away completely at Gowrie Dam. In this cold weather, it's going to start killing it off. Now here's a lone Egyptian goose. Tara was telling me that she seems to think that there was a single goose at Gowrie Dam that was chased off by that pair that are there now. He's probably come and settled here. Lost its mate, which is sad. He's on his own. I'm starting to get a picture of what this leopard might have done. Mafufunyan, my guess. Came up from Little Gowrie. No, there are 2 geese here. What am I saying? There are 2 geese here. The female's eating seed off of the sedges. Okay, let's go back. I'm just thinking that this leopard did a turn up here in Western Gowrie, and it's going to be making its way maybe towards Treehouse Dam now. Let's go and see what we can find, because rhino are also making their way that way. Okay. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Janet. Talking about leopard kill, Mvula on a kill in Torchwood. No, Mvula wouldn't come this far west, sorry. Mvula is much further to the east. I think the furthest west he comes is our eastern boundary. Cheetah cut line. So, Mr. Leopard, did you walk here for me? Please tell me you did. Giraffe did. I'm not seeing my leopard tracks. Unless he just cut straight through and went back to Little Gowrie. We'll have a look on Weaver's Nest Road. But evidently Janet was saying that Juma posted a blog about a leopard on a kill Mvula on Torchwood. I don't know when that was. With a cloud in the sky, very, very high, which means moisture, icicles, ice crystals. How green it is still here in this little patch. All these little knob thorns have still got their leaves. Hello, Gloria in Texas. If a lioness loses a sibling, how long will she stay in the area? And if she's calling, will it attract other lions to the area? Gloria, I couldn't give you an answer to that because there is no answer to that question. I'm trying to figure out how I can answer this. I'm assuming you're referring to an adult lioness. And lion are territorial, and since they're territorial, when the lion is killed within its territory, the pride mates and the siblings that are within it, they stay within that territory. And I guess it depends on different individuals. You might find one lioness won't call at all, and another lioness might call for a day or two. I'm not too sure what context the question is asked, but I don't think I can really give you an answer that I would be satisfied with, because it's not something that would have a fixed that I would be able to say, I would be able to give you an answer, and you'd be able to apply that to every situation, because it doesn't. Nature doesn't really work that way. Every single animal is an individual, and every animal goes by its own set of behavioral rules. There are, of course, for a species, there are certain rules of behavior that are guided by instinct to a large extent, that you won't find deviation from. But hitting a main road with traffic. Take the fire break. Say hello to Henry quickly. Morning. What you doing? There's some kwanza for that Madoda Ingwe. At Little Gari side. Came across this side. But I didn't. Oh, for that Ngala? Okay. Boy. The rally. Fire brakes and get away from dust and traffic. What have I got here? Oh, but that's an old track. It could be the same leopard, but it's very old. Gloria. I want to try and give you something that you'll be happy with in terms of an answer, but I can't think of anything because, you know, I don't know. I'm kind of drawing a blank here to be able to answer you in a way that. And text. Hello, everybody. You see, also, I think the other thing is, I think what I'm trying to think of is depends on the circumstances behind the loss of a sibling. Whether it was a natural death or whether it was through lions intruding into their territory, like we've had in this part of the world with the Mapokos, the Machinga lions killing other lions. Now, under those circumstances, the lioness is not going to be calling very much. In fact, she's going to be very quiet. She's not going to call at all. And she's not going to stay in the immediate vicinity either. She'll stay within her territory, but she'll find an area where she'll go and, well, not exactly hide, but she'll be quiet for a while until the madness is over. But most of the time, in a situation with a social animal like lion, who have quite strong bonds within a pride, the passing of one member of the pride is obviously noted and obviously felt, but life does have to go on. They still have to carry on hunting, defending their territory, raising cubs. Oh, hello, kudu. Little baby kudu. And a young bull down at the bottom. They're probably picking up the fruit of this Balanites. This is a torchwood, this beautiful big tree. And yes, I think she is. She's sniffing around looking for fruits. don't think I've got enough of a slope to roll forward, but I'm going to try. A little mitre drain here that we've got to get over. Just get enough speed to get over that little bump. There we go. Judging by the flattened grasses and brown grasses around the base of this tree, it must have been fruiting for quite a while now, because boy, it's flatter than the grasses around a marula tree in fruiting season. Hello, Mrs. Kudu. That pretty little child. But my chances of finding a fruit are pretty slim. There'd be an elephant here also, probably searching for fruits. And I knew that the radius that's about equal to the size of the crown of the tree around the base of this tree in search of these fruits. And funny enough, one of the small or medium-sized animals for Laurie, the civet, one of its favorite foods this time of the year is the fruit of the Balanites. And when you find a civet midden, you can date the dung in a civet midden by different times of the year by what it's eating. In summer months, the civets will eat a lot of millipedes. This time of the year, the end of summer, early or autumn, when the Balanites is in fruit, it'll be the dominant composition of civet dung.
She's listening to you very carefully, Mark.
She's learning something about civet, you see. Now the kudu and impala and some of those other antelope that might eat these fruits will chew on the fruits, and they'll spit out the kernels, the nuts, the seeds. Well, they're not seeds, it's a woody kernel, oblong. And some of these young trees that were growing underneath this mother tree have been pushed over. I'll see if I can find. I know there's a big Balanites at the lodge that's fruiting, and the fruits are being trodden on because the animals aren't getting to them. See if I can find fruit there, but it's not going to be easy to find fruits now. They are ripening, and they are obviously in demand. You probably find a baboon troop spending a lot of time under a tree or in a tree like this, harvesting the fruits. Just quickly to message to Tara, say I can't hear anything above the static at the radio here at Twin Dams, so we can hold on that question until I can get to a better area. Let's get to the dam, see what's going around there. Not getting you, Tara. Bye bye, ladies. See you now. If you're going to go to the dam, we'll see you from the other side of the dam. Twin Dams. lining-breasted roller complaining about something. Oh, sorry, goose. A bit late in the year to have goslings. Gosh. The two, are they goslings or are they just ducks? No, it's a pair of African black duck. Let's see if we can see them from the other side. As this goose took off, there were two other water birds that slapped away. Here are the crocodile tracks. This crocodile's been up and down. There's this smaller crocodile that lives here. Drag marks of its tail. I might be wrong, there might well be goslings here. So to establish which way this crocodile went, it went back. I always seem to find where it's going back to Baboon Pan. Actually, come to think of it, you know, there was a time when Pete was here. I think it was Pete. When after that storm, Pete was working on things because, of course, the tree blew down where the camera was going to be in, and he was quite busy with things. Yeah, they are goslings. Two goslings. Go up around to the dam wall. Anyways, Pete was on the dam wall, the Gowrie Dam, and he actually but the crocodile was on the dam wall, and I just suddenly had this thought that might have been the day the crocodile left the dam. Late in the season for geese to have goslings. Something big in the water. The water lilies are dying back. There's a stark difference between 2 weeks ago and now. There was so much vegetation around the dam when I went on leave, and now it's looking quite sparse. But I suppose as the water recedes, the water level with evaporation, it starts looking barer around the edges, because there's not going to be new growth. It's only going to be dying back of vegetation. Okay, let's move on. Try and see if we can cross those rhino tracks again.
Oh, there's a hippo.
I thought I saw some big ripples. Hello, hippo. Go back to sleep. Oops. This is Twin Dams Road. We're heading north along the drainage line to our right. And I'm hoping at some point, with those rhino coming this way from Philemon's cut line, I'm hoping at some point we're going to cross their tracks and maybe catch up with them. Nothing here at this midden and this crossroads. Morning, Franklin. Right. Hello, Laurie. Asking about the Egyptian geese. Do they migrate? No, they don't. They're here all year round. Oh, there's an elephant track. No, Laurie, the geese pretty much stay in the same. They I guess in a way territorial. They establish a territory around a dam, and then they'll stay there throughout all seasons. I just have to quickly fill in some fluid in the clutch. I've lost all the clutch fluid, so the clutch is not working. So I'm just going to do that. Take me 2 seconds. There's some vervet monkeys in the tree just across the drainage line. We can listen to see whether they might maybe start shouting at something. But there's also a track of a nice big elephant here. I'll also have a look at that, but it's not very fresh. I've got to start up, get the master cylinder pumping. See the vervet? Okay. Quite relaxed. Don't think there's anything in their midst. Okay. A little bit better. I have to change the seal kit and the master cylinder. buffalo here too. Seems there's been a lot of buffalo around lately. Everywhere I've been since I've been back are signs of buffalo herds. Well, this elephant is headed south and we're not going to find him. Buffalo on top of his tracks. Okay. So, I don't know if that question from Laurie is the one that Tara was sending me at Treehouse Dam about the Egyptian geese, probably. But always great to get questions. Thanks for questions. Questions at final, no, not final, yes. No, not questions at Final Control. See how long I haven't been doing this. I've forgotten everything. Questions at wildearthsafari.tv. This is where I'm hoping to find rhino tracks from those two rhino I saw, whose tracks I saw. Yep, there we go. Here are the rhino tracks. And they've turned and are now heading a little bit north. And I think they've gone into the Mulwati now. We should maybe do Vulture's Nest. See if they've crossed there. Boom. One through there. Oh, sorry, let's have a look at something. Red-billed helmet or Retz's helmet strikes. Now one had something in its beak. Chelapan heron here at Chelapan, just sitting in a tree, not fishing or frogging. Where's he gone? Saw him a minute ago. Deep in that leadwood. Okay, we're going to cross over the riverbed now, and I'm thinking there's a strong likelihood that if these rhino are heading east, that they'll probably cross Vulture's Nest Road and go on to Nyala Road South. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to head up towards Nyala Road South and see if we can find some sign of them there. Oh. Just in case you've been trying to send me something over the radio, things been unplugged for the last minute or few minutes since I guess so spider web in my face. There we go. Since I guess the Egyptian geese question I got out. Quite fresh elephant dung. I think I'm just gonna test it. No, I don't taste it, I test it. Temperature wise. It's cold, which means when you break it open, when you break open elephant dung, and when it's fresh, if it's very, very fresh, it'll still be warm inside. That's a couple of hours old. But it could be the same elephant that I saw the tracks of that headed south. No tracks here. Giraffe tracks again. Elephant tracks now. So going the wrong way. Let me see. More around this corner. Not seeing the rhino yet. The rhino still haven't come through onto this road. But once again, buffalo tracks everywhere. This is not the same elephant. This is a youngster. With a very square edge to one of its feet. And that's probably the... It's quite a youngster actually. Little boy maybe. And these are quite fresh tracks. But also going south. Hippo tracks. It's probably the hippo that's at Twin Dams, these hippo tracks. Rhino haven't come through here yet. Buffalo. Now boys, there's a group of Duggar boys.
Doesn't look very friendly, this one.
No, he's...
It's like you owe me some money.
Yes. And he's got a hangover. Or rather a headache or something. He's like... I think we're going to make a trip around to the Vulture's Nest now and see if we can cross paths with those rhino. We have spent time with buffalo this morning. We'll leave these boys in peace and move on. Yeah, maybe this is the front of the herd. Maybe they've come this way now. Although they seem to have been moving more to the southeast, or rather southwest, to the sort of southeasterly direction from the dam. Hey boys, mostly bulls too, quite a lot of them. We did once have that one group of about 20 bulls, that might be them too. More buffalo there. I guess they're hiding away from all the lions. Ah, here we go. More buffalo. This is the herd. Not the same herd though. This is got to be a different herd. Unless it's part of the same herd, but it's split up and spread out over such a large area because they're such a large herd. Hey Mr. Buffalo, young bull. Maybe they were making their way towards Philemon's Dip when we left them, and this is almost the opposite direction. And unless we manage to see someone here who we recognize, who we maybe saw this morning, this is a huge herd here. Wow, they spread out all the way up onto Bachelor Road. Relax, children. I'm just slowly edging through you guys. Excuse me, madam. I'm not a madam, it's a young bull. Hi Laurie, thanks for your question on buffalo and their horns. And if the horns were not attached to the buffalo, how heavy would they be? How much would they weigh? And do the lions eat the horns? I would guess that the bus and horns of a really big buffalo bull will weigh probably up to around 5 kilograms. 8 to 10 pounds maybe. And no, the lion, Laurie, they don't eat the buffalo horns. See, this is a huge group of buffalo. They're also coming from a different angle, this group. They're coming from the east. Hello everybody. Those few bulls we saw in the beginning, not the beginning of the morning, but now at the beginning of Yellow Road South, and I thought they were just Duggar boys. They are probably the pathfinders of the herd. On station Slumbian, yep. Oops. Station Slumbinyari on Yola Road South. I don't think I can count on one hand even the times I've seen 2 herds of buffalo in one morning here at Djuma. Bless you. You're allergic to buffalo? Yeah. Alright, let's try here for the rhino. We've managed to find where they haven't been, and the tracks lead towards this particular road. So only setback for this road is that it is quite dense, the vegetation around this road. Maybe around the big torchwood. There's also not much sand on this road to find tracks. Again, sorry Franklin. Hey, Craig, if you've been asking questions, this thing keeps coming out because, and it does. So I haven't had the earpiece in since the last question. Hello Elizabeth, welcome to our morning drive. We we amble along Bolter's Nest Road. How long do elephant bulls go into must? There's a pearl-spotted owl.
Where?
In that knobthorn, the first branch coming out towards us.
Oh yeah, I got it. Whoa, jeez, got it, Mark.
Yeah. You see, every now and then I have to find you something really, really obscure and far away and small and well spotted, just to show you that I'm not really missing much. When we're not seeing things, it's not because I'm missing them. It's because they're not there to be seen at the moment. But yes, there is a gorgeous little pearl-spotted owlet. What are you doing, child? Got his head down or what?
Yeah.
Was it watching something? Maybe I need to move slightly because you've got some branches, twigs in the way. If I go back an inch or two, we'll get a clear view of it. There we go, it just woke up. There. Is that? There's still that one twig hanging down, but then this buffalo thorn is going to be in the way. Zoom in one. Oh, yeah, there. Okay. See if we can get a better view from it here. I think it was just dozing off. Its head was sort of. No. Maybe more branches in the way. Just use the slope to. No matter where we go, there are going to be twigs in the way. The nature of the tree that it's sitting in. And the height of the camera, that's different to my height. Now this little owlet is also a diurnal hunter. But it appears to be taking a bit of, well, trying to take a bit of a nap, looking at us. A little bit of a cross expression. I'm going to try and roll forward again, just see if we can't. It's not easy. Remember, this is on a super zoom, so even moving the camera a millimeter makes a difference to the angle. Okay, that maybe does. That's probably about the best we can do.
Yeah, that's not bad.
What I'd like to show you are the false eyes that it has at the back of its head. This is an intriguing feature. And I'm surprised that no birds are shouting it. Nobody's seen it. Elizabeth, I haven't forgotten your question about elephants in must. M-U-S-T-H, by the way. Well, I don't think it's a pearl spotted actually. I think it's a little barred owlet. Now that I look with my binoculars. Oh, I'm not seeing the barring. It's not a pearl spotted. I didn't bring my bird book. But I think it's a barred because it doesn't have the eyes on the back of its head. Craig's saying it is a barred. And no, it doesn't have pearl spots, it's got dark spots on its belly. And that's an owl we haven't seen much at all. In fact, we've seen enough pearl spotted. And the barred owlet, a little bit bigger than the pearl spotted, marginally, is not a very common sighted owlet. Hello, pretty little thing. The pearl spotted is just that. It has pearl colored spots. And this one is the barred owlet with darker brown spots. The largest and smallest owl in South Africa from Sandy. Sandy wants to know. Can I show you how big? Well, the smallest will be the pearl spotted, and its pearl spotted owlet is about, let's see, 15 centimeters, which would be 6 inches. No, yes, 6 inches. Can I show you how big 6 inches is? The length of my hand, well no, I don't know how big my hand is, so. For the pearl spotted owlet, about that big. And the largest owl that we have, the giant eagle owl, or Vero's eagle owl, or milky eagle owl, probably stands a good 2 feet tall, probably about that. It's like your great horned owl, Sandy. It's quite big, about that big. Okay, let's move on. Still looking for rhino, all their tracks. Bye bye, little owl. Nice to see you. Hasty decision on identification there. I've done that so many times in the past. I see something from a distance. Oh, there's a such and such, and then on closer inspection, oh, actually, it's not what I thought it was. But Elizabeth wanted to know how long elephant bulls stay in must, and I suppose the simple answer there is about 3 months. For the very big bulls, Sandy, Elizabeth, the very big bulls must can last up to 3 months. The older bulls, and Elizabeth wanted to know whether rhino and hippo also come into must. And no, they don't, Elizabeth. Only elephant. I think rhino and hippo, especially hippo, but rhino and hippo, the bulls can mate whenever there's a female in estrus. There was an elephant track back there. What could have been a rhino track. There's very hard packed soil here. So you only see parts of it print, especially with an animal such a large foot like elephant and rhino. Only seeing bits of the foot, not the whole track. Makes it a little difficult. There's a bit softer sand. these rhino down in the riverbed. Let's go and have a look there, because they haven't, doesn't look like they've come through onto Vulture's Nest. We're almost directly east of Chelapan at the moment, and I still haven't seen anything that's telling me that rhino came through onto this road. So they might be down there in the riverbed. Oh, good question there, Laurie. I'm sorry, I should have given you that information. Laurie wants to know what that little owl eats. A lot of little things like insects, lizards, geckos, small snakes that will eat small birds, small rodents, small mice, like the little pouched mouse, perhaps. Nothing large like the size of a tree rat. Maybe a young squirrel. But even grasshoppers, perhaps. Let's take a look up this riverbed. See if there's anything here. Hello Shanae, New Zealand. Hello to Diane too then. I don't know if I should do this, there's still a lot of water here. But Shanae wants to know why the owl is out in the open during the day and not in a dark spot hidden away. Shanae, there are a number of these small owls, things like the Scops owl and the little pearl-spotted owl, and to some extent the barred owlet, that are diurnal, somewhat diurnal. I mean, they'll hunt in things, what we call the crepuscular times, early morning and late afternoon, that dusk and dawn. But it would, sitting from a perch that it's at now, if something moved in the grasses, it's quite possible that it would go hunting right now. I'm just going to walk a little bit past these pools of water just to see if these rhino tracks are here. Well, they did cross just on the other side of that beautiful big jackalberry. But I didn't see their tracks coming up onto Vulture's Nest Road. And there's a very big triangle of very dense bush here that they've probably moved into. So we've lost out on them for now, but tomorrow's another day. And now it's a matter of, I suppose, either turning around somehow or finding our way back. I could probably make it through these puddles of water and out an old track, but it'll mess up the puddles, the pools. They're nice, clean. It's nice, clean water seeping through the sand. What was it? Bump in the riverbed. Relevant digging holes. Looking for a flower for the ladies today. There's a hamerkop and heron. Hello, Debbie. Oh, sorry, Heron. You don't like me calling Debbie. Heron's gone off to Gowrie Dam. No, just landing in a tree. These are my frogs. Leave them alone. Hamerkop's still there. Hello, Debbie, and an interesting question coming from Debbie. Having seen a program about barn owls, where, according to this program, there were two chicks, and there was one bigger chick and a smaller chick, and the larger chick ate the smaller chick. And Debbie wants to know if this is common, and if this kind of cannibalism occurs in any other species. Debbie, this is something we call siblicide or Cainism, or the Cain and Abel syndrome. And a lot of raptors practice this gruesome concept. I'm trying to find words today. Where the first chick to hatch, in fact, it's not only raptors, I know it happens amongst some of the smaller birds too. Kingfishers will do that. Of course, cuckoos do it in a different way. That's not siblicide, that's parasitism, brood parasites. But as far as siblicide is concerned, it does occur in a number of species of birds, and what it is really at times when food is not that abundant. I'm talking about the barn owl now, because with other raptors, some of the eagles, it's common practice no matter how abundant the food is. In fact, if you remember, if you were with us when we were seeing some of the ground hornbills, talking about ground hornbills, part of their decline is a result of the fact that only one chick eventually survives because it kills the other chick. And the way that they are helping to restore numbers is that they're actually raiding nests and taking the other chick before the older chick destroys it, kills it. But I digress, as I usually do. With the barn owls, I don't think I can agree with what you are saying you saw, or what they said, or what was on that program. But then I didn't see the program, and it might have been referring to a specific nest in a specific location in a specific condition where their food source was somewhat diminished. Because I know, from what I know of barn owls, this is the rhino tracks, by the way, that came down this road. Too late. We'll have to find them tomorrow. From what I know of barn owls, when there is food in abundance with barn owls, they will lay numerous eggs. They will lay an egg every week, and you will have various different. You can have up to 8 chicks in a nest, or more, in a barn owl nest, all of different ages. Because as long as there's a supply of mice, there's a supply of food for the chicks. But the barn owl is an exception, and I think with the other owls and with the eagles and other birds that engage in siblicide, I think that's a different matter entirely, because there it's as I said, it happens without question. But it is to ensure the survival of one. If there's not enough food to go around, even if there is always going to be competition in the nest. And I guess this stems from one chick starting to get more food and just becoming more dominant, and eventually it either kicks the other chick out or it kills it. And it makes sure that at least one chick will get all of the food, as opposed to 2 or 3 chicks sharing. I think what we'll do just for the end of the morning drive is just take a quick visit to the hyena den, because I haven't seen them for a while and I want to just quickly say hello. Debbie, I hope that answers your question. We'll sort of maybe just get there and then it'll be time to say goodbye. Nobody's home. Or if they are, they're all inside the den sleeping. Thought maybe we'd have a hyena or two out in the sun warming up, but the sun's been out for a while now and it is getting closer to mid-morning. So I guess possible that it's getting too warm in the sun. Boy, I'm getting warm with all my layers on. Oh, there's no one around at the moment, so I'll have to come and get back again earlier in the morning, I guess. Well, unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the morning today. I think I've been a little overwhelmed with not having driven for a while. And thanks for your patience with me, and thanks for the questions this morning. Just going to stop. Here we go. And well, it's great to be back. There are a good few things that are different. It is drying up a little bit, and interesting to see the storm damage that I hadn't seen before I went on leave. Things like this big marula on the left of us here that also lost a big branch. Interesting morning. Nice buffalo. Thanks for joining me. My name is Mark. Seb's been with me on camera, and Craig and Tara back in final control, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow morning. All right, all of us here at Wild Earth Safari. Goodbye. Good night.